Hi all, welcome back to Oops with C++ session 30. Okay, before going to this session 30, please refer session 29 where I have discussed the need of constructors. Okay, so now coming to today's session, we will see the introduction to constructors and its types. Okay, so we have discussed in last session that constructors are special member functions. Okay, so constructors are special member functions of the class which will be invoked as soon as an object of the same class is instantiated or object is getting created. Means, so whenever we have seen we are using setDetails function to initialize the object's information, like maybe I have created an employee object. I am trying to initialize employee's ID or employee's name with the help of setDetails functions. Okay, so now without that setDetails function, whatever setDetails function is doing, same task can be achieved by using constructors also. But with respect to setDetails, we have to explicitly invoke setDetails function, but whereas constructors will be called automatically as and when object is getting created. Okay, so then how can you make the constructor as a special member function? This is also function, but how can you make the constructor as a special member function, or how to identify it is a constructor? So for that we have something like some rules we have to follow. Constructor's name should be same as class name. If your class name is employee, then your constructor name also employee only. So constructors won't have a return type. So unless we have some set and details, if you are not written in a if you are not returning anything, then we were writing void set details, right? So but now for constructors there won't be any return type, not even void. Okay, so only constructor's name of the function will be there. Okay, and what is that function name? The function name is same as the class name. Every object will invoke constructor only once in its lifetime. So only once object, as soon as the object is getting created, constructors will be invoked. So how many times object will get birth? So it's like how many times in a single lifespan, how many times you will take a birth? Only once, right? In the same way, whenever the object is getting created, only once the constructor will be called. So once it is object is instantiated, there won't be any place where the constructor will be called for the same object. Okay. Now, when we talk about the object creation will be done in two steps. So first one is allocating memory to the object, and second is initializing that object's memory with suitable values. So whenever we are saying class name object, then we in that line itself you will be having two steps. So one is allocating memory. So for that object, how much memory has to be allocated, whether it is in stack or whether it is in heap or in data segment, where we have to allocate, that will be taken care in the first step, and how much memory has to be allocated that object, that will be done in the first step. And what is the second step? Second step, the members of the object, say for example employee object is there. In that employee object I have employee ID as well as I have employee name. So those members I am going to initializing the object's memory with suitable values. Okay, so what is the job of the constructor? The purpose of the constructor is to initialize object's memory with suitable values. But keep it in mind that constructor won't allocate memory to the object. If anybody is saying constructors will allocate memory for the object, this is wrong. Okay, constructors will never allocate memory for the object, but what it will do, constructor will initialize object's memory with suitable values. Maybe if you have pointers inside the inside the class, if the object is having some pointer attributes, so for that pointer attributes also it will initialize some memory by allocating heap. Okay, so it's not like your object's memory will be created. Allocating objects memory is not possible with constructors. It is just for initializing objects memory. Okay. Now, so then how to write constructor? Let's discuss about the syntax of this constructor. So when we are coming to the syntax of the constructors, as we know, we will write the class name and public. So make sure that all the constructors, whatever you are writing, it should be present inside the public access specifier only, under public access specifiers only. Okay, so we know that when anything is present under private access specifier cannot be accessed outside the class. Okay, so public it constructors all has to be placed under public access specifiers only. So now you can see class name here, and there is no arguments. Here you can write object initialization code, and another one also is there, class name arguments. So without arguments and with arguments, then what do you call? Here we can see two different types of constructors, right? So what is those constructors? So first one we call it as zero argument or default constructor. So a constructor which doesn't have any arguments, or a constructor which is having zero arguments, is called as zero argument constructor or default constructor. Okay, so don't say default argument constructor. Default argument constructor is different. That we'll discuss in next session. Okay. So either it will be zero argument constructor or default constructor. And the second one is this. So where we are giving the parameters or arguments we are giving. So this one is called as parameterized constructor or a constructor with arguments. Okay. So basically we will be having two types of constructors: zero argument or default constructor, and second one is parameterized constructors. Now how to create object and how to make sure the objects is going to invoke our constructors. How to invoke zero argument constructor or how to invoke parameterized constructor during the object creation. So for that, let's talk about object creation syntax. Now you can see class name. So this is a default object one, but here if you are not providing anything, then it will call the zero argument constructor. So second one, class name object 2, and you pass the arguments. Now it will call the parameterized constructor. So first memory will be allocated for the object. To initialize object's memory, the constructor will be called. Okay, here you are passing arguments. Here you are not passing. So if you are not passing arguments, then zero argument constructor will be called. If you are passing arguments, then it will be called parameterized constructor. So then again you can write first two steps. You can write it like this also: class name object 3 equals to class name. So means here also it will call zero argument constructor. Here it will call parameterized constructor, class name object 4. Okay, so constructor calling, either you can create the objects like this or like this. Okay, so both are valid. Okay, so here so first one zero argument constructor, second one parameterized constructor. In the same way, here zero argument constructor, parameterized constructor. So this is how object creation will happen, and as soon as the object memory is allocated, then immediately constructors will be called to initialize the object's memory. So what are the data members present in that object, and those data members will be initialized by the constructors. Okay, now just see this program. So this is a code: class C employee, constant character star int. So first constructor is not taking any arguments. Second constructor is taking two arguments: constant character star int, void display int emp id. So emp name. So previously we had set underscore details, string copy. We were using set underscore details, right? For this, instead of that, I am writing constructor. So see, there is no return type, and you can see, right, whatever class name I have given, same class name, same name, we have to give it for constructor also. Okay, and we are initializing. This is the constructor name, and it is present in C employee class. So C employee scope, C employee, and here C employee constructor, which is taking two arguments, and C employee scope, C employee. So C employee constructor is present under C employee class. So this is the syntax. And when you are creating the object, so if you are not providing arguments here, then it will call the zero argument constructor. If you are providing the arguments, then it will call the it will call the parameterized constructor. So during compile time, it will check for here, for this place, which constructor I have to call. You are not passing any argument, then it will call the zero argument constructor. And for the second one, it is you are passing first argument as constant character star and second value as integer. So which constructor is having this argument list? So second one. So it will call to the second constructor, second parameter, sorry, second constructor. So means the binding here will take place during compile time to which object which constructor has to be called. So constructor call is completely depends on the arguments. So if you say for example instead of constant character star, if you have given int constant character star, then it will throw error. So arguments must match. Okay. So now let's see the code and run this program. Again. Okay, so same program. Okay. So class C employee. So C employee, this is zero argument constructor. So this is parameterized constructor. Okay. So here I have given one statement, zero argument or default constructor, and this is parameterized constructor. Okay. So now we are creating the objects here. C employee EMP1, C employee EMP2, C employee 3, C employee, C employee 4, employee. So I am passing different values. So here for employee 2 I am passing Richie 101, employee 4 I am passing store stuff 102. So for EMP1 zero argument constructor will be called because we are not passing any argument. So we are expecting so first whenever we are creating this object, we are expecting 0 or default constructor has to be printed. So second, parameterized constructor has to be printed. And third, again 0 or default constructor. And fourth, again parameterized constructor. And first object should display, so same default 100, and second object should display Richie 101 because you are passing the values here. Okay, here we are setting with the default values. You can have any values here. Okay, now so here for fourth object, again third object 0 and default, and fourth object it will be sourced up 102. So here we are displaying that values. Okay, just compile it and see. See, so first object employee 1 0 default constructor, second object parameterized constructor, third again 0 or default constructor, so fourth again parameterized constructor, and whenever I'm displaying EMP1 display, so it is 100 default, here 101 Richie, again 100 default for employee 3, 102 store stop here, right? So like this we are getting. Okay, so now what I am doing is I will just change the argument list like this. Instead of this one, I'm giving it like this. Okay, int id, comma, constant character star name. Okay, now see what will happen. See, lot of errors we are getting. Okay, invalid conversion from int character star. Okay, so where are we getting the errors? So line number 31. Okay, see line number 31, here we are getting the error because Whenever we are calling during compile time only we are getting the error. During compile time it will check. So is there any constructor which is taking first argument as constant character star and second argument as 101? Do we have that? So it is not there. So we are getting an error. Okay. So now what we can do? We can write one more constructor here. Okay. So which is taking constant character star, comma, int. Okay. So parameterized constructor also this I am taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. See, first one I am okay. So what I will do is here I will modify. So here what I will do is I will write a statement parameterized constructor 1, parameterized constructor 2. So now, so here in both the cases it will call the parameterized constructor 2 only. Okay, let's observe. So no compile time errors. You can see parameterized constructor 2. Okay, so because the third constructor parameterized constructor 2 which it is matching to this one only. So first argument is constant character star, yes. Second argument is integer argument. Second argument is integer. So now I have to call parameterized constructor 1. So what I will do for okay, for this I will do. Okay, so here first argument I will pass 101. Okay, now you see. See, first one is zero argument constructor. For second one, parameterizer constructor one. Third again zero argument constructor. Again fourth object constructor two. Okay, so you can have n number of constructors here. A single class can have n number of constructors. Only thing is the arguments list has to be changed. So if both same. If you have zero arguments, then you take another arguments. Okay, arguments list has to be different. So first is integer, second is constant character star. Here first is constant character star, integer argument list is different. So means the constructors has to be differentiated either in terms of arguments list or type of arguments or order of arguments or number of arguments. So I think you might have remembered one thing, right? So we have discussed something like this, a name angling. Okay, so that's correct. So constructors are best example for compile time polymorphism. Okay, so for which object which constructor has to be called, that will be that decision will be taken care during compile time only. So constructors are very useful and these are best example for compile time polymorphism or function overloading. Okay, right. So one more last point we have to yeah, so that's from about the constructors. Okay, so just recall the points whatever we have discussed. So constructors are special member functions of the class which will do the initialization of object memory as soon as the object is getting created. So constructor's name must be same as its class name, and constructors won't have a return type. So constructors are best example for function overloading. Okay, just now we have discussed. Every object will invoke constructor only once in its lifetime. So once the object is created, then it won't call the constructor at all. Okay, so a class can have many constructors, but they should differ in terms of arguments list, because if you are following the function overloading the constructors, then arguments list must differ, because internally it is also following name angling technique. Okay, so irrespective of how many constructors a class have, an object will invoke only one constructor of the class based on the arguments list passed. Okay, so only one constructor it will call. Any object in its lifetime, it will call only one constructor. Once the object is created, then done. Okay, so that's about for today. Thanks for watching. So please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.